Hello, everybody. This is Nancy Jean, and I'm live with Kandi Mullins. And Kandi has a new Reiki channel, and we're going to go look at the wonderful world of Reiki. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, she's going to do all the talking because what I don't know about Reiki would fill volumes. And she sent a lot of questions that we could ask and kind of make it happen. I'm waiting for people to kind of build up and get in the room. It's a full moon tonight, so everybody get there. However you deal with the full moon, however you handle it, get your paperwork together, get yourself together, and we're going to start with the banner. What is Reiki?
Do you see anybody? Oh, hi, Sylvia. Hi, Linda Fraser.
Yeah, they're there. I can see the total number of eyeballs it's recorded.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You want me to start with what is Reiki or just a little bit about my background?
A little bit about your background, and then we'll go into the heavy-duty questions.
Yeah. Well, and thank you, Nancy Jean. I appreciate being here today, and I'm really looking forward to sharing information about the practice. But in 2009, it was the beginning of the year, and that particular week, everything was heightened. My intuition, things going on around me, and I paid attention to a sign about taking a Reiki class. I was ready to delete an email that I didn't need. I didn't even know what it was about. And I just heard that little voice within me just saying, open it, don't delete it. And so I opened up the email reluctantly, and I quickly scanned it over, and I noticed at the very, very bottom, small little print, there was a Reiki class at the Botanical Gardens, and I lived right around the corner and loved the Botanical Gardens. And I was like, Reiki? Why do I want to take Reiki? And I just heard that little voice say, just do it, don't question it. I really didn't have other than one experience with a Reiki session, and that was while I was traveling in Italy. And I had a session immediately following a massage by the same therapist. Well, she only spoke Italian and I only spoke English, so I couldn't really ask her about it. So it really didn't make sense to me at the time. But I'm glad I followed that little voice, following the guidance within, and I took the class. So that was in 2009, January 11, 2009. So this is my 15th anniversary of learning how to practice. And that's really why I started the channel, because of the value in self-care. And we'll talk about, self-care and Reiki. And a lot of people don't even realize that the practice or the foundation of the practice is for self-care. So I took my first Reiki class, and it was within that class that I thought, I want to teach it. So it really all surprised me. And so I've been practicing and teaching ever since. I went through, there's 3 levels to Reiki. The first level is hands-on for self-care and offering it to others and even pets. And then you've got the level 2 or second degree Reiki, which is for distant healing. And then the third level or third degree training is the Reiki master training. And that's a Reiki master indicates that person can teach Reiki for you. So that's my little story, and I'm going to stick to that. And with that, I'll just talk a little bit about what Reiki is. It is actually a spiritual practice, but it does have healing value. So oftentimes people will notice an improvement in an area that they may be trying to address. It could be a symptom or a condition, but it is a spiritual practice and one that we would engage in every day. One of the biggest benefits that most people will notice right away is how much calmer they are after the practice. And it only takes a few short minutes of practicing. So the practice is a spiritual practice. It's a balancing practice. So when we engage in it, it helps the body, or it influences the body towards that balanced state. When the body's in a balanced state, it optimizes our self-healing mechanism, helping us to function better. So we oftentimes will notice improvement in pain that we may be dealing with, or, it could be headaches, it could be a wound, or it could be more emotional. So
Okay.
any questions about that?
Clear as mud. How does Reiki work?
Yeah. So it's a light touch or hands-on. We apply hands-on. For self-care, we just place them directly on the body. If
Mm-hmm.
we're working with another, I use a series of hand placements. Generally, I'll start at the crown of the head and work down through the endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll start around the torso. It just depends. And then I place my hands 4 or 5 different placements with somebody when they're lying on their stomach. So I have the individual lying on their back on
Mm-hmm.
just a traditional massage table. The
Mm-hmm.
person's fully clothed.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing for the person to do. And then we start on the back, and then I'd have them, if they can, lie on their stomach for the remainder of the
Mm-hmm.
session. So it's real simple. We can also hover our hands above the body so we don't have to touch the person. If the person prefers not to be touched,
Mm-hmm.
then that's just as valuable as
Good.
hands-on.
And then the next one is, how can Reiki healing help someone? What would be a real common reason someone would come to you?
Stress,
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm,
Mm-hmm.
pain, anxiety. They're some of the most common. And oftentimes when somebody comes for something specific, or, schedules time with me for something specific, they will notice improvement in another area. So the body will respond to what it needs,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting. So somebody might be trying to address pain in the knee, and they may have more of an emotional experience, and it surprises them. But oftentimes they're going to notice that there's going to be a shift in their state.
Okay, when you say a shift in their state, that means that they're going to feel calmer, they're going to feel more, the stress is going to be gone away.
So everybody's experience could be different,
Mm-hmm.
but at minimum, most people just say they feel better, or they feel more relaxed, or, they just feel calmer. Calmer is another very typical response that I get. When I teach the practice, a lot of times the students will arrive and they're nervous. They don't know what to expect. And, they don't want to be late. And, they're flooded with just, what if, what is this? And within the first 30 minutes of my trainings, I usually like to get started with our first self-care practice.
Mm-hmm.
And students will generally notice a shift in their state. They feel calmer. They don't feel anxious, or they're not feeling overwhelmed, or they just feel better.
Okay.
So there's a variety of issues Reiki can help to address.
Mm-hmm.
For example, it can help improve your outcome from from surgery that you might have, or
Mm-hmm.
it can help improve your digestion and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It can help improve blood pressure and heart rate. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of what it is you're dealing
Yes,
with or managing.
how your body's tied together.
Yeah.
Okay. Who can receive Reiki treatments?
So anybody can really receive it. It doesn't matter how young or how old you are, what your state of health is. Anybody can receive, as long as, you have their permission to
Yeah.
offer or apply Reiki. And if anybody's scheduling time with them, then I have their permission. And it doesn't matter age and even pets and animals. So I tend to work with pets some of the time, majority with people. My oldest student and client was 87.
Mm-hmm.
And the youngest student that I've taught to practice Reiki was 13. They were a couple of 13-year-olds, but
Mm-hmm.
children as young as 5 are starting to learn. And obviously they're receiving treatments as well.
Right.
Anybody can really, it really just doesn't matter who, anybody can receive it. You can receive treatment while you're in the hospital even.
Yeah. who can learn to practice Reiki? You just said that.
Yeah, I
Everybody.
kind of just addressed it in that, anybody can really learn. And, kids as young as age 5 are starting to learn it because they're noticing that it helps them to calm down. It's a way for them to calm down. It's also a way for them to help them fall asleep at night because it moves the system from that fight or flight to the rest and digest. So it's going to help improve our sleep.
So Reiki then is safe. It's not like they're going to do something to you and you're going to jump around like an ape or look like it's like hypnosis can do.
Yeah, no, there's nothing, there's nothing being ingested. There's nothing being applied. You're just applying your hands. There's nothing being administered. And we can't give somebody too much Reiki because actually Reiki is, it's balancing. So your body is going to adjust accordingly and respond to what it needs. So there's nothing we can really do to cause any harm. And to the best of our knowledge, that there's been no known contraindications. So you can safely combine it with other types of healing practices, conventional medicine, alternative, integrative medicine, other healing modalities, and even traditional medicine. So we're not doing anything that could put anybody in harm. And we shouldn't be doing anything to put anybody in harm's way.
Okay. And then do you have to believe in Reiki for it to work?
Actually, no. You just have to just keep an open mind about it. You don't have to have an open mind. Just keep an open mind about it and permission to receive a session. But no, it's not something, because I do hear a lot of times people say to others that you have to believe in it for it to work. And that's not necessarily the case. I had a scientist that was trying to figure out more about Reiki practice. So he took a class with me. And while he wasn't so sure about it, at the end of the class, he said, well, something is happening. And he said, there's value in this. I can already see that. I don't know why it works the way it does, which we don't. We don't know why it works the way it does or how it works.
We don't always know what's going to take off and work and be the thing.
What's that?
We don't always know what's going to take off and be the thing that's going to work. We have to work with our intuitions. And then you've got, no, wait. Okay, that's the wrong thing. I told you I'm not doing this with too much. Okay, how often should Reiki be applied?
Well, since it is a spiritual practice, practicing daily, every day, really builds upon it's cumulative. So it supports the body that much, it strengthens it. It strengthens our immune system. It helps us to function better. It provides clarity oftentimes. It helps us to make better choices. So when we can stay in that state of more of a balanced, calm state of calmness, really, relaxed, then practicing it every day is going to be more beneficial. And because it is a spiritual practice, just like Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, those are practices that we practice every day, right? Turning inward, getting clarity, getting clearer, the meaning of life, the purpose of life, strengthening connection with source. So those are the kinds of things. So we ideally practicing every day. Now, if you're seeing a practitioner and you're trying to address something, 4 sessions as close together as possible is really helpful to help the body start to move towards balance, right? To release some of that stress and anxiety or whatever you're dealing with.
Okay, well, here's the last question, and then I'll look and see if there are any in the comments. Can you give too much Reiki?
No, you can't give too much Reiki. Nope. Okay. You can practice as long as you possibly want. So my typical practice time, I like to practice in the morning and anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. Now that's my personal, I've been doing it for 15 years. But you can practice for 2 hours or receive session from somebody. You know,
Mhm.
there's no certain length of time that's going to put you in any kind of harm's way. Um, so you can't. I did see constant. No, you're right. It's a spiritual practice. It's not a belief system. So
No,
it's not dogma. It
it's
is
not.
not religion. And it should never contradict somebody's belief system.
Mhm.
It doesn't contradict anybody's belief system. So if we, just remember that it's a spiritual practice,
Okay.
not
And
dogma.
then this one is, what is a distance Reiki session?
So the distance session is when the practitioner and the client or receiver or recipient are in different locations.
Mhm.
So they could be in the next room, they could be in the next city, they could be across the globe somewhere else.
Mhm.
And it's when we just kind of drop the idea of placing limitations around time, distance, and space, we can safely offer a distance session. And, it's just as beneficial, actually. But, a lot of people still like to have the in-person,
I want that contact.
hands-on touch. But, more and more people are opening up to that because when, the world came to a halt in 2020, that was what we had available to us. So more and more people were introduced to that, and it's widely accepted, but it became even more, in my opinion, what I noticed with people were more open to receiving
Right.
from a distant.
And I know people connect it with um, other things, like other practices. Like they'll have singing bowls. Wait a minute. I just did something to us. Oh, well.
What happened?
The chat's gone. It's my fault. Oh, I figured out what I can do. Okay, I've got it.
I see
Um,
Fatima. Hi, Fatima.
so I can go see the comments too. Um, so that's what a distance Reiki session is. It's the same thing as if you were to call me up and ask me to do a reading for you, and you're in Cleveland. Well, it's obviously not happening from. It's happening in Dallas. It's happening from all the things, and everybody. Someone wants to know: does this work for everyone?
Yeah, it can be applied to everyone, for everyone. It's a spiritual practice. It can help with a whole host of symptoms or conditions, or on any level: emotional, physical, spiritual, mental.
Mm-hmm.
And at minimum, I usually hear, I just feel better after a session.
Yeah.
We want to shift out of that fight flight and into the rest digest response,
Mm-hmm.
right? That parasympathetic response, so the body can start to heal, start to feel better. Just simply shifting our state to being calmer. We
Mm-hmm.
want to be in that calm. So I haven't heard somebody say, oh, it didn't work for me. At minimum, and I always help people understand how they're feeling after their session, so we can contemplate that. We can
Mm-hmm.
understand, how did that just benefit me?
Mm-hmm.
And the more practice we do, the more we stay in this state of calm, life will flow. We open up to more of the things that we want in life, because that chaos or that stress or the outer world starts to calm down, because we're calming the inner world, because oftentimes our outer world is a reflection of what's going on in the inside, right? The inner world.
Right. Right. And
So we move into a space or that state of calm. Who was it? International Reiki Master Pamela Miles would state, take care of your state, and your state will take care of everything else.
mm-hmm.
Right? Take care of your
Right.
state, and your state will take care of everything else. So that's why we practice, and practicing daily is so beneficial to the body, to our emotional state.
Here's someone pushing, less than a third of the people that watch our shows like and subscribe. I'm not saying become a member or any of that, but just subscribe so that you get all the notifications. And you're going to learn all about saying that because it's something you need to say.
Hi, Terry.
Okay.
Hi, Sharon Sipe. Roxy.
I take it that's tribal dancers. I don't know what a dancer is, but they're close to each other on the keyboard. So, and a lot of people say, how can I find my way into a community? Well, find out about Reiki and find out how people deal with it. One of the things that Kandi and I were discussing before the show started was to do a small Reiki thing right now. And I warned her I feel so wretched. I may just fall out of my chair and go to sleep because I'm just not in good shape. But if you'd like to help us, guide us or something, I think that would be a good thing to do at this point.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll do a 6-minute self practice, but I am doing, and that's because in response to my 15 years of practicing Reiki, I have put up a 30-day Reiki challenge. Now, if you're not professionally trained in Reiki or you haven't been initiated in Reiki, then that just means that you're applying hands-on or a light hands-on self-care. It's still beneficial because there's enough documented research about touch. And so I encourage you to follow along the 30-day self-care practice. I'm also going to be doing a live in the next week or two in the evening where I'm going to take us through what I used to do when we went in full, when the world stopped in 2020. Up until August of 2023, I offered this to initially my students, but I opened it up to others because people were getting great receiving really good benefits. So that's out there for you all. Just go to my channel and start following along. Today's day 15 that we're on, but I'm going to keep them up. So if you just start today or tomorrow, don't worry about that. But yeah, let's go ahead.
What is your channel? What is your channel?
Well, it's at Kandi Mullen, KandiMullen. Sharon Sipe has put it up. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay.
Hi, Annie Bear. Yeah, Sharon put up all. Wow, thank you. She put up all of the links. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So we'll do 3 hand placements, 2 minutes of hand placement, and I will call them out. I'm going to bring up my little timer to keep us on track. All right, so I'm just going to show you what I'm going to start with. So I like to start with my hands on my crown, just like this. Okay. And then I'll announce to you when we're going to move our hands, and we'll just bring them down to that upper chest, heart area. You know, I like to place my hands in this manner, but if this is better for you, do what is most comfortable. And then we're just going to bring our hands all the way down to the lower abdomen. It's going to be about 1 inch below the navel. Okay. So you can figure that out. It's easy enough. So let's engage in self-practice. I'll bring us back, and then you'll share your experiences. Okay. And so you can be seated. You can be lying down. Whatever's most comfortable for you. Your eyes can be open or closed. Oftentimes, if you close your eyes, you can go a little deeper. We tend to go a little deeper. But if you're not in a space where you're comfortable closing your eyes, then keep them open. All right, let's go ahead and begin with our hands on the crown of the head. If your arms or hands get tired, just shake it out for a few seconds and then reapply your hands. go ahead and gently bring your hands to the upper chest, upper heart area. And bring your hands gently down about an inch below your navel. Okay, with your eyes still closed, if they are closed, go ahead and relax your hands and bring your awareness back to your physical form. And I want you to notice any subtle shift or change in how you're feeling. And you might just want to Think about how you were feeling before we started to how you're feeling now. And perhaps there's a word or words that you would use to describe that. Let's just go ahead and contemplate that for just a few seconds here. All right, go ahead and just wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring yourself fully back. And perhaps put in the chat, let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. That's great, Constance. More aligned, less scattered. Had to shake during the second placement. On the heart. Ah, alignment happening. That's great, Annie Bear. So the aligned feeling, less scattered, more in alignment, calm. Thanks, Terry. You know, that was 6 minutes. Top of my head still feels warm and vibrating. Yeah, oftentimes, Jad, will get that, we'll feel the vibration or pulsations in our hands or on a particular area. You know, oftentimes it's a balancing, it's helping areas of the body to balance, right? And we may feel warmth in our hands or heat in a particular area, just like you said, around the crown area. Feel more open. Annie Bear, if you just follow the endocrine system, you know, that which pretty much follows the chakras, and we can't really physically feel chakra. And I really don't. That's a good point. I don't really talk about chakras with Reiki practice because let's think about this for a second. Chakras are part of which metaphysical system or metaphysic system? Right? Reiki is a Japanese practice. It was founded by Mikao Sui in Japan. And the chakras are part of the Indian metaphysic system. So I try not to confuse, because sometimes when I'm teaching the class, it can confuse students. So I don't really talk about that, but I do talk about the endocrine system. So keeping it simple and placing our hands along the endocrine system. And hopefully that's helpful. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Yeah, if you have any questions, just, you can always ask me later if something comes up, but I like to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really easy practice.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we have to do. We don't have to overthink it. I don't have to psychically do anything or force anything or force a particular outcome.
No.
Right? Because this is a full body treatment. And that's really important to remember. It really, even though you might need to be addressing a knee issue, or you have an issue, you banged your elbow on the wall, and what is the first thing we usually do? We grab it because it feels good and warm, and it starts the healing process. It's already innate within us. We already have been doing that since we were a kid. We grab the area that we've just injured or is bothering us. So with Reiki, there's nothing that we really have to do. I like to apply a full treatment session when I'm working with someone regardless of what they're trying to address, because I know at some level the entire body will benefit, and even
Mhm.
the area that may be causing discomfort. Um, so I don't have to keep my hands on the knee for the entire session.
That's good.
Yeah, it really is. And again, it's shifting our state. It's balancing. It's
Mhm.
helping, it improves our immune system, right? It helps to, for us to just optimize that self-healing mechanism. So we really are functioning at our, you know, absolute best.
Well, thank you so much for your guidance and your help. And I think we kind of gave everybody a really quick, basic look at Reiki. I'll have you back and we'll talk about Reiki with certain problems and how to work with them and stuff and how to
Yeah.
bring the practice into our life.
Yeah, Viviani, the session can be for a short amount of time, or it can be like if I'm doing a professional session, usually an hour. I'll do an hour session. I'll work with. If
Mhm.
I'm doing self-care, 30 to 60 minutes, that's my personal preference. But, I've been practicing for 15 years. If you can apply 15 minutes a day, that's great. 20 minutes and then work your way up.
Well,
Yes,
I'm
anywhere. Body
grateful.
is designed to self-heal.
I'm grateful for everyone who came. My throat is less scratchy, so that's a good thing. And remember, and your channel is called
At Kandi Mullen, KandiMullen.
hmm and that's gonna be something I'm sure everybody's gonna write down and look for the notifications when she's up and on, because it's something that's very useful to all of us. And too often we don't snatch onto the people think, oh, if it doesn't cost me money, it's not going to cost me anything. Although I'm sure your long sessions for money are worth every penny. But
Yeah, but start with the free 30-day. I mean, it's free. I'm
mhm,
posting videos every day. So
in the morning,
engage in it. And you can always do formal training later if you want to go deeper. You
mhm,
know, I suggest it, but that everybody's different and unique.
mhm,
So you go check it out
mhm.
and then leave me comments. Let me know how you're doing with it.
Yeah, let us know so you keep track of it, so I can remember to remind myself to bring Candy back
Right.
and have her come do her thing again. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'll be more with it, not so space cadet. I was afraid there 6 minutes. I thought I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to make this, but I did.
Well, how did you feel afterwards?
I felt fine. I really did. I felt my throat's less scratchy. My head feels okay. Um, it's just I've I've got one more day of stuff to do, and I kind of have 2 days off, so that's kind of good. I try to space myself out better, and because I don't want to burn myself out. And this might be a nice practice to adopt to figure out a way to stop me from burning myself out. So.
Well, that's a really good point, Nancy Jean. Think about caretakers,
Mhm.
especially in healthcare profession, burnout is significant because they don't know how to care for themselves, right? They're taking care of everybody else. But just even our own families, oftentimes we are a caretaker at some level, right? But
Right.
we don't take the time to care for ourselves. It's like that analogy. You get on the plane, the flight attendant comes on and says, if cabin pressure should drop, the oxygen masks will drop from the ceiling. Put your mask on first before you help the person next to you, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's true because you're not going to be you'll have that much of you fill up your resource, your wellspring, right? And
Hmm.
you take care of yourself, you have that much more to give to another. But if you don't start doing that, you're going to burn out, and you're
Right.
not going to have the resources needed to help the people
Other
that need
people.
support.
Right. Right. Well, I hope everybody will keep an eye out for the further adventures of Candy and Nancy Jean in the garden. And next time, I wanted to bring in crystals and your type Reiki, and I know it's a big part of it, but I'm I was lucky I could figure out where Reiki was. I had to type it today. So if I spring up in the middle of this evening feeling 100% healed, we're going to know how wonderful this stuff is. And
Yeah. And that's great, Linda Fraser. That's amazing. Relief from pain in broken hand, nerves, pain subsided. And then thank you, Maria Teresa. I appreciate it.
and everybody have a good time. And we'll talk at you
Thank
further
you,
down the
Nancy
line.
Jean. I
Bye-bye.
enjoyed it. Bye, everyone.